Kind greetings and welcome to the August 13, 2020 live broadcast of Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ. Our purpose is to bring to consciousness various subjects that impact and intersect with global peoples. Our goal is that you will be empowered to answer the call to action and thereby having an opportunity to experience your own triumphant Thursdays any and every day of the week. Our subject tonight is Masterclass. Transformation is possible with Chaplain Maureen Burns, who lives in Maui, Hawaii. She is also the author of The Midas Touch. I anticipate that this will be a great evening of engagement with our viewers and our guest. The Reverend Chaplain Maureen F. Burns was elevated at our 2019 Fellowship of Affirming Ministries Convocation, founded by our bishop, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Bishop Yvette A. Flunder, prelate, and Chaplain Maureen was ordained at that service, at that convocation, at that incredible gathering, into the office of chaplain. She and I are working together to co-host a broadcast for vets and LGBTQ vets plus by this winter. We invite you to host a watch party, make a few calls to your family members and to your friends, and invite them to join us. We are radically inclusive. All are welcome to submit comments and questions in the chat room. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to our screen, we bring to our broadcast the incredible Chaplain, Reverend Maureen Frances Burns. Good evening, Chaplain.
Hello, Chaplain PJ. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing incredibly well considering the circumstances. And if I may pause here to share with the listening community that my first cousin, who was really my best friend later in life, we talked hours upon hours upon hours, decided that he was going to take his flight beyond the reach of mortal care. So he died this past Sunday. But I am feeling alive tonight, and that's what Triumphant Thursdays does for me. It gives me an infusion of life, an infusion of joy, an infusion of peace of mind. And so other than that little thing that we all must face, I suppose, I am doing incredibly well. How about you, and how are things out there in Maui?
I'm truly blessed.
Truly blessed. All right. I see the trees are moving in the background, and that means that you've got a little bit of a breeze.
Yes, ma'am.
Since the last time we were online, did you, by chance, do any surfing?
No, ma'am. No surfing yet.
No surfing yet? Okay. Well, I suspect that that's one of the things that you love to do. And so I thought that I would ask. I do remember that as we ended the show last week, and I'm telling you that hour flew, that we were having conversation about frequencies. That the whole point of mastering, for lack of an inclusive word, that in order to really manifest our heart's desire, that we must learn how to function at a particular frequency or at a particular there are a couple of other words that come to mind, not only frequency, but give us a couple of other of the words that are used quite freely among the masterclass teachers.
Energy levels.
Energy levels.
To
Okay.
get past paradigms.
Working past paradigms.
Yes.
For an example, I think we ended last week talking about money doesn't grow on trees, and how Reverend Mary Morrissey's husband flips that and sings about pennies from heaven.
Right.
And we also spoke of being on a frequency where we have been taught that the love of money is the root of all evil. And I suppose that my response to that, or my query about that to you would be that the Holy Writ is saying that you shall have no other gods before you. I think that that's what that means, and so many in America, around the world, have made money their god. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, money doesn't go where it is not appreciated. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. We clearly have it stated in the Bible that you cannot serve two masters. It says that in black and white.
That is very clear.
You cannot serve two masters. You must choose. And the way they are using the word love in that particular paragraph is more like the word we would call lust today in modern society.
Okay.
It's an old translation.
Okay, you shall not lust. I like that. After money or anything else or anybody else. Because that impedes the flow of the frequency, the flow of the energy, the flow of the receiving and of the giving of requests for manifestations. Would you say that that's pretty accurate?
Yes, and we also have to remember that it says in the good book that it is better to give than to receive.
It is better to give than to receive. Now, I understand that on the physical plane, but when we are connecting with our higher power, when we are connecting with our God, when we are connecting with the divine, I am gathering that to give praise, to be intentional about giving praise, gets the energy, gets the divine's attention right away.
Yes, it does.
Found that to be true?
Yes, it does. And also, we should always give more than what's expected of us.
And when you say give more than is expected of us, give us some examples of that what you're talking about.
How about Triumphant Thursdays? You're trying to put information out there to people, and they don't even have to pay for the information unless they choose to give a donation. Yes. But they get wonderful information every week. You go above and beyond to get good guests on the show and create a good format and give valuable information from your heart.
Thank you. Maybe we should hire you as our marketer also. I appreciate you saying that, because I must admit, I am a little shy about asking. And I do know that if I don't ask, that I shouldn't expect to receive. Now, I was having a conversation with one of my sorority sisters the other day, and she volunteered that she was going to join us and make contributions. Well, I didn't ask her, and I guess what I'm thinking in my heart is, or what I'm asking for from my heart is, that people will be moved to give without asking. But I also appreciate your skill in asking.
There's another phrase in the Bible: ask and you shall receive.
Yes, ask,
You
and
got to ask first.
you are correct. And what I must learn to do is how to ask, because that too is a skill. That too is an art. And there is there are certain ways for which to ask for financial support. And when we get to that point in our program, I think that you will be very pleased with what our administrator has put together to invite the listening and viewing community to give.
Great.
So let's talk a little bit more about frequency and how to increase that frequency and how to move toward the transformation. Because this being the night that we talk about um, your skill in making transformation possible, what are some of the ways, what are some of the skills, what are some of the techniques, what are some of the information, knowledge, and wisdom that you can share to help the listening and viewing community to move toward transformation? What are the intentions that move us toward transformation?
Okay, there's an energy pyramid. It
Okay.
gets more concentrated as it gets to the top. The
Okay.
base emotions are things like apathy, depression, alienation, anything that would cause a negative type feeling. Then in the middle, you have neutrality. Then you start coming up with having interest and having desire and having praise and worship. And you go all the way to the top until you come to that love is in there, of course, and gratitude. But you come all the way up to the top and you get to enlightenment. And that is the most concentrated part. That's the peak of the pyramid of emotions.
Now, are these emotions, would you hazard to say that all of these emotions of which you are speaking are already internal? And that
Yes.
and that mindfulness would be important in terms of knowing where you are on this ascending or descending scale of emotions.
Most definitely. You have to be able to. I personally suggest meditation every day, every day.
Okay.
15, 20 minutes of meditation in the morning to get you started, get you focused, and get your frequency up to a level that is going to get your day started in a positive way.
Now, you mentioned love. I've looked at some of these scales. As a matter of fact, I was just looking for a scale that I had downloaded and put in my notes, and it shouldn't be very far away. But if you can't put your finger on it, it might as well be on the other side of the world. But there is a whole list. Mary Morrissey has one.
Yes, yes.
Marianne Williamson has one.
And they're all very similar.
Very, very similar. And, many of us, many people kind of hang out at the midway and below in terms of how they're feeling. And depression doesn't help us. I was thinking as I was listening to former First Lady admit, Michelle Obama admit that she had low-grade depression. And we are living in a time when that is so prevalent, meaning low-grade depression is so very, very prevalent. And a lot of times when I am depressed, it is the hardest thing to say. I'll say in my heart, you know what to do. You know to put on some incredible music, whether it's gospel music or whether it's jazz or listen to some of the singers that we know, like the late Edwin Hawkins or the late Walter Hawkins, or Trans Saints and their album. I know to do that. I know to do that, but to get myself to do that takes more energy sometimes. That surprises me. So for those of us who practice meditation, for those of us who have access to coaches as yourself, what if it's difficult for us, if it's a challenge for us, and I suppose it's designed to be a challenge, because this is something you really have to want. You really have to desire to be better in order to be better. But what do we say to those who have no motivation to be better for whatever reasons? How do we encourage them? There's a verse in Hebrew, in the Hebrew scriptures, that reads, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." How do we get folks to taste and see?
Right. Well, if you look at your present circumstances and you don't like what you're seeing presently, you have to recognize and realize that you have created that set of circumstances, and you can deconstruct it and recreate it in a way that you want it. One thing that I suggest when you're just laying in bed and you don't feel like getting out of bed, especially if you have an animal, get up and take a walk. You don't have to start with 3.5 miles. You can start with 5 minutes. Walk to the end of your street and back, or take your dog out for a little walk and just spend some time with your dog, or a child, a grandchild, somebody to join you, and just go for a walk. Just get your body in action. Getting your body in action helps.
Okay. And if you don't have a pet, or if you don't have a child, if you live alone, then
get up and walk.
Get up and walk. We have is that a question? Okay. From Tony is online. Bishop Tony is watching us.
Hey, Tony.
Wow. Hey, Bishop. How are you? It is so good. It is so very good to see you. So always get me out of Trans Saints album. Yes, I don't know if you have that album, Chaplain Maureen, but
but I have heard it.
You have heard it.
It's wonderful.
One of the singers, the late, he died January the 1st, a few years ago, and he was the lead of the Trans Saints there for a while, and really taught me a lot about what it meant to be trans. I can see oh my goodness, Reverend's face. Help me, Bishop Tony. Was on the way home from watch service at the City of Refuge, and car stuck.
Bobby Jean,
yes. Bobby Jean works that album, I'm telling you. Oh, she works that album, and every time I listen to it, I think about her. And one of these books that I write, I'm going to dedicate it to her, because
I was with her that night. We left at the same time. They went to the left and we went to the right.
Oh my!
We were at the same party,
and they never found out who it was.
Yeah, the car flipped. Bobby Wiseman was driving, and they got run off the road, and the car flipped. That's what happened.
Oh my goodness! My goodness! My goodness! Well, I don't want to be common with what I'm getting ready to say, but I tell you, we all, in the words of King David, that I may live all the days of my life. And our days are numbered, and I truly believe that. And I remember my mom, God bless her, saying to us, they were my sisters, my sisters and my mom were visiting with me after I had surgery in 1996, and we were just talking about this and that and that and this, and she just volunteered, saying, I want to die at night. I said, well, what do you mean you want to die at night? What's that got to do with what we're talking about? She said, I just thought that I would mention that I want to live all the days of my life and die at night. I said, okay. And she did. She died 10:15 on Wednesday, the 10th of December of 1997. So that frequency, see, I firmly believe that our heart's desire is spoken to the heart of God, to the heart
Yes.
of the universe, to the heart of the divine, and we must be careful.
It's connected.
We must be careful.
There's an invisible thread that connects us.
Yes, and if our desire is positive, wonderful, and if our desire is negative, it can sometimes not be so wonderful.
That's correct.
The
law of attraction is always working, whether you're putting out positive energy or negative energy, you're still attracting things to you on a vibrational level. So if you're depressed and sad and lonely and can't get out of that space, you could create illness, for instance. You could create that you get a cold or a flu that keeps you in bed because that's what you're putting out. You make yourself vulnerable to it.
Absolutely. And I think my cousin made this decision that he did not want to live any longer because he lost his connection to life. Music was his life. He has played the organ, played the piano, directed choirs all over the world. And when we were quarantined and he couldn't get to his performances or the performances were canceled and he couldn't get to his students and didn't want to do it by way of Zoom because he wanted to be able to touch his students. I can remember him sending me, he sent me a text message when our governor quarantined us. He said, the Lord will make a way somehow. And as I look back to that text, I think he was saying to me, I have no reason to live because music is my life. Now, he didn't kill himself and he didn't contract COVID, but whatever it was, it exacerbated itself. Okay. He had lymphoma and it just started to pop up all over his body. And they were unable, the medical professionals were unable to keep up with, unable to use chemotherapy to keep up with him. And that is really a heart. That's a real message that this manifestation does work. It absolutely does work. And now, how other than the pyramid, where you have enlightenment at the top, it seems to me that the closer you get to the top of the scale, the less you are into things. Am I correct? And let me pause here and say to Bishop Tony, Bishop, we did make our conversation available to Chaplain Maureen, and before I had a chance to tell her, she told me that she drove you from the city of refuge to Tijuana, which at that time was in San Francisco. Is that correct?
Yes.
Chaplain Maureen, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
San Francisco.
And we do have plans, the two of us, actually the three of us, because Pastor Sue has agreed to be a part of the conversation as we develop how your presentation will be when you are on Triumphant Thursdays. We are taking a break for the month of September And during that time, we will be in conversation with you, Bishop Tony. So back to what I was saying.
The bottom line is we want to keep ourselves in a place of neutrality or above.
Or above. But in those places, do we not have less of a desire for things
Yes.
and more of a desire for relationship?
More of a desire for connection.
Yes, 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 yes.
You can't have connection with inanimate objects, but you can have connection with people, places, and things.
Okay. Important. That is an important observation, because it seems to me that people are preparing to live forever. They are buying and selling and selling and buying more today. And if you have the means to do that, I certainly would not begrudge you the opportunity to do that. But I was looking at some of the homes and some of the automobiles of the rich, and some rich people having
Multiple cars.
Yeah, multiple cars, multiple residents all over the world. And I'm saying to myself, what's going to happen when they, because I believe Spirit is always drawing us to enlightenment, that our soul has a desire to be enlightened, that we have a desire to be transformed by the renewing of our minds, meaning that to set our minds on things that will help others, because we are given our gifts, we are given our talents, we are given our lives to be of service to the divine, on behalf of the divine, for others. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Well, let's use Bishop Tony as an example, since we have him on the line.
Okay.
Bishop Tony is struggling right now and needs to get donations for his Las Memorias. But Bishop Tony is one of the wealthiest men that I know. Even though he doesn't personally have funds right now to help in his ministry, he has had a hospice open for years and taken in people with HIV and other critical illnesses literally off the streets, and has started a trans ministry down in Mexico. And he gives all of his energy and his love and everything he has and puts it into people, and makes sure that those people, the last few months or even years of their life that they have, are something worthwhile. What's better than that?
Well, you're absolutely correct, and that brings up an issue that I've had for many moons. I've heard faith-based leaders say, "Where God leads, God feeds." Well, help me understand what that really means in the wider scheme of things. Yes, Bishop Tony is wealthy when it comes to joy, and when it comes to serving, and when it comes to compassion, when it comes to this fruit of the Spirit. He has God's riches. How do we who believe, or who say, I don't recall ever saying it, but how do people who say where God leads, God feeds, how do we reconcile the absence of exchangeable finances with which he needs?
I believe that God will often give us ideas and intuitions and different things like that can be profitable in some way.
Okay.
Like Bishop Tony has recently put out a letter asking for donations and letting people know the situation that he's in. And like I said, you have to ask in order to receive.
Okay.
perhaps there are things that Los Memorias could produce, like I'll just give an example: beads, or rosary beads, or crosses, or made of ceramic, or other products that Mexico produces at a cheaper rate that he could possibly sell in the United States.
Okay.
He also brought a beautiful shirt to me at the TFAM convocation last year from Mexico. So there are goods that are manufactured in Mexico that Bishop Tony could somehow try to get some shipping done to someone that's a reverend or a bishop in the United States, and maybe produce some capital. So I believe that he has the ability to be able to get some funds, but he just has to be able to make the necessary connections. But God has put him in a place where things are cheaper in Mexico than they are in the United States. So he could recoup a profit.
All right. Then I tell you what, when we talk with Bishop Tony, we will talk about those ideas. We will revisit those ideas when he is on Triumphant Thursdays. And in the meantime, back of the ranch, we will work with him behind the scenes to put together we will ask Pastor Sue to show us how we can put his wares where people can see them and order them while he is online with us. Would that work?
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent.
Let's take a break. Believe it or not, it's after 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we want to start out sharing our advertisement for the evening. And we're going to begin with Pastor Sue and her latest development. Pastor Sue? Isn't that marvelous? You can connect with Pastor Sue at karasolutions.com, KARA-solutions.com. She does administrative work. Put it back up, Pastor Sue. She does administrative work, business and consulting services for dreamers, visionaries, entrepreneurs, faith-based and community-based organizations. She is the brain behind many productions, including Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ. She also administers Prophet Tawana, who is on Facebook Live every Thursday afternoons, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was on with Prophet Tawana today, and she is a gifted, talented, anointed woman of God. She is also First Lady elect at the church here, along with her spouse, Bishop-elect Vanessa N. Brown. at Rivers, New Jersey, and New York. I think I have a better description of that. It's Rivers of Living Water, UCC, in New York and New Jersey. Here is another production from Pastor Sue, showing not only Bishop-elect, but also the shepherd's table. And these are the individuals, including Pastor Sue, as you can see here, who makes Rivers live. You're talking about completely off the chain. They are completely off the chain. We also want to, again, share with you information about Dr. Crystal Walker, Crystal D. Walker's book. She was our guest a few weeks ago, and she really walked us through Silence is No Longer an Option, a pastoral response to domestic violence. And what is very unique about all of the persons that we are highlighting tonight is they are coming with experience, or as the word is now, they are coming with receipts. They have experienced this, and so that makes it all the better. So that leads us to this. While we are sharing the following information, we will also be able to show you the options that are available to you if you have a product that you wish to be announced on Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ. If you have an upcoming event that you wish to have highlighted, become a sponsor. Listing, and banners are $15 per week. The static overlay that is $25 per week. This is an example of a static overlay. If I am correct, am I correct, Pastor Sue? I think I'm correct. Let me see. Okay, I think I'm correct. Yes. And the video that she showed is $40 per week. And if you need a static or video ad created, contact Pastor Sue at sue@carasolutions.com. And there's one more thing. If you would like to be a guest on our broadcast, by all means, give me a call at 7517. We'll have that for you next week. 517-488-8081, or send me an email, including your name, subject, and contact information, like Bishop Tony contacted me a couple of weeks ago. Last week, I heard from a sister in Puerto Rico who is going to be our guest in a few months. Dr. Crystal contacted me with an idea of having a conversation with people who have been released from prison, and the difficulty that they're having finding jobs or being able to vote, and so possibilities are out there. We just need to hear from you. So now, as we return back to our show, Chaplain Maureen.
Yes, ma'am.
Pastor Sue says that she has the scale that she can put up. I said,
that'd be wonderful.
Yes, Pastor Sue. See, you see what we mean, and how incredible this woman of God is. There it is. At the part, actualization of consciousness, sacred enlightenment. And between self actualization and actualization of consciousness, we have morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of fact. And then between esteem and self actualization, we have self esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, respect by others. And loving and belonging, we have friendship, family, and sexual intimacy. For safety, security of employment, resources, morality, the family, health, property, and physiological, breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, and excretion. Now, that was the thing that that we could have brought up. The chaplain Maureen is breathing. Breathing
Right.
exercises does wonders
Definitely.
for getting in tune.
Just slowing down your breathing makes you feel more secure, more safe, because when we're in fight or flight, we run to try to get away from whatever it is that we perceive as attacking us. But when we slow down our breath, it makes our mind say we're in a safe place. This is a safe place.
Yes, yes. And I think that reduces the onslaught of anxiety, nervousness, the affect of bipolar, schizophrenia. I know I had an incident during COVID when my schizophrenia kicked off. And I was just hearing voices and they were screaming at me. It was too late for me to call the psychiatrist. And I don't like to take the medication because it just zaps me right on out. I just go into a zone and I don't know if I'm here or there. And so I started breathing, and I found that the voices quieted. They didn't go away, but at least they quieted. So breathing also helps me to focus.
Definitely.
And all of that is useful and helpful for transformation. Now, when you use the word transformation, give us a definition of that.
Well, the example that I gave you last week was the going from the caterpillar to the butterfly, but there's a space in between when you're cocooned. And so we're caterpillars from age 1 to 20, crawling around trying to figure things out. And then we get in the cocoon and start developing in our middle years. And then we beat our wings against the shell to get ourselves out. And that happens in our 40s and 50s. And then we learn to fly.
Okay.
So transformation with a person happens the same way metamorphically as does with the caterpillar and butterfly. We go through changes and stages of development and evolvement.
But do we not do that more than once? Are we not caterpillars and butterfly more than once?
You can repeat a cycle within a cycle, but we progressively move in one direction.
Okay. Is that direction upward?
Yes.
Enlightenment, redemption, salvation is up.
Is up.
It's all up.
Consciousness,
Yeah.
raising consciousness.
Uh-huh.
You don't say it's not lowering consciousness, it's raising consciousness.
Okay.
It's
What can
up. It's an
people-
upward movement.
How can we alleviate the discomfort? We understand that discomfort is important. And if you're uncomfortable enough, you will seek to find resolution and solution.
Yes.
Okay, having said that, What do we offer to the newbies? People who want to be transformed not only by the renewing of their minds, as we are instructed to do in Holy Writ, but we also want to be renewed in how we feel about ourselves. We want to lift ourselves to the level of how we have been created. We have been created beautiful. We have been created intelligent. We have been created with dreams, and we have been created with visions, and so much of this, and with entrepreneurial ideas, and we're often we're often discouraged from pursuing our dreams and following our visions because we're so busy trying to fulfill what other people want us to do, whether it's our parents or our minister or our counselors or our psychiatrists or our social workers or our psychologists or our friends or our peers. We're so busy trying to please them that the more we do that, the less likely we are going to discover who we are. Who am I in here? Why am I here? Discovering my purpose and fulfilling that purpose. So what do we say to the newbies, to people who are waking up, people who are becoming awoke, people who are becoming aware that there's got to be more to life than what I am?
You hit it right on the head. A famous chaplain, I can't think of his name right now, but he went around and wrote a book on the regrets people have at the end of life. He interviewed thousands and thousands of people, and the number one regret was people said that they had lived their life for others, that they had not lived a life true to their own values and their own way of wanting to be in the world. That was the number one regret.
Isn't that something?
So you got it right there.
Okay, but what do we say? Okay, so let's say that
turn off the noise. Stop listening. Stop listening to others. Stop listening to others. Get some headphones and put a nice program in them. Put in a meditative program. Put in a self-help program. Put in an actualization program. Put in a meditation tape. Give yourself 30 to 60 minutes a day and put on a set of headphones and shut the world out and go into yourself and improve yourself in some way. The only one you should compete against is yourself. I am a better woman today than I was yesterday.
What did you do with your fears? How did you address your fears when you started you're on the road of transformation, on the road to redemption, on the road to salvation, on the road to a self-actualization?
There was a lot of prayer involved. I went to the higher power and said, I can't deal with this. A very simple prayer that we learned in AA is the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I can't change other people, places, and things. But I can change myself, and I can change my feelings. So if I'm in a place of fear, I can do some deep breathing.
All right.
I can put on a set of headphones. I can listen to some good music. I can go take a bath with some Epsom salts in it. I can do things for myself. And you have to do some things for yourself. Every day you have to do some things for yourself. Even if you can only take a half hour to an hour.
And how did you transform your anger of these three men that raped you to the degree that you had to have a total hysterectomy? How did you transform that fear into forgiveness?
It took a long time. It took a long time. It took a lot of prayer. It took
people to know that this doesn't happen overnight.
It does not happen overnight. There's always a gestation period with the law of attraction. You don't get a woman pregnant and she delivers the next day. but we expect 9 months when a woman's pregnant. We accept that as that's just the way it is. People who
And
try to
9 months would
practice
be 9 years.
and people who try to practice the law of attraction and then 2 weeks later say it isn't working are not given it enough time. The law of attraction is always working and will always work, but there's a gestation period from when you start hoping, wishing, desiring for something and when it comes into your material realm. It's a gestation period.
Okay, and that gestation period, we use the metaphor of a pregnant woman, but let's say that pregnancy that a man may experience may not be the gestation of a baby, but the gestation of an idea, or a gestation of a dream, or a gestation of a vacation, for that matter. That it may take 9 months, it may take 9 years, and we should, and some people, we're on a journey. But to stick with it. And I think the other cautionary piece that I want to add is, once you learn how to listen to that still small voice, because the Holy Spirit, whom I call wisdom, speaks all the time. The universe is constantly speaking to us. And once we tune out the other voices and learn to follow the prompting, the urges, the hunches of the Holy Spirit, we need to be aware that we will lose friends because we're on a different path now, but we will gain friends on the same path that we are on. You know what, Chaplain Maureen? That's all we have, the time we have tonight.
All right.
We have again run out of time. Do you have any closing remarks?
I would just say what I said a moment ago. Invest in a pair of headphones. Really. Spend some money on a pair of headphones and shut yourself out for a half an hour a day, whether it's a meditation tape you listen to, self-actualization, self-improvement, Tony Robbins, many other people out there that can help. And just give yourself a half hour to an hour a day. Even with everything else that's going on in your life, you can find a time to carve that away.
Let's put some more names out there. Marianne Williamson.
Mary Morrissey.
Mary Morrissey.
Natalie
Bob
Lidwell.
Proctor.
John Assaraf.
John Assaraf. The guy that wrote The Shack. That would be an interesting audio to listen to. I had to listen to that, and what's his name that wrote The Power of Now? I had to listen to those two people, the same tape, 10 times before I got it. But it's worth getting the audio of these individuals, and like you said, pop them in your CD and go for it. And I
highly recommend Dr. Joe Vitale too.
And Dr. Joe Vitale, of course. Can you get the Midas Touch on tape?
I believe you can. I know you can get it through Kindle. So I think you can get it on tape as well. And
join the organization called Audible. I think it's $19 a month, but you can download audio tapes under psychology, under spirituality, under history, and renew your mind. You got to unlearn the things that have been stopping you, that have been holding you back from finding out who and whose you are. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thank you, Chaplain Maureen F. Burns, for being with us for 3 Thursday nights. We'll be back. I know we'll have you back at a future date. But I want to show
put one personal plug in real quick.
Put one personal plug in real quick.
Contact me on Facebook page. My name just Maureen Burns on my Facebook page. I give out 15-minute free lessons on law of attraction every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And give us your Facebook page.
Maureen Burns.
That's it.
That's it.
Maureen Burns. Okie dokie. Bishop Tony is inviting us to listen to the Trans Saints album. It is on YouTube. Yes, it is.
All right.
This has been rich, and we thank you so much. We also want to thank our administrator, Pastor Sue, the Fellowship of Affirming Ministers National Youth Minister, on staff as one of the pastors at Rivers of Living Water, New Jersey, New York. And we want to give a shout out to our bishop, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Bishop Yvette Flunder, senior pastor and founder of City of Refuge United Church of Christ, and the prelate of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries. We want to give a shout out to Reverend Dr. and Bishop-elect Vanessa N. Brown, Rivers of Living Water, United Church of Christ, New York and New Jersey. Intersect, if you will, please, with the Lansing NAACP or your local NAACP chapter in your area. Please make a phone call before September 1 comes in. Call your city clerk and get an absentee ballot. When you receive it, fill it out and mail it in as soon as you fill it out, all in the same day. Do not wait, because there is a negative move to slow down the mail, to shut down the post office, and to make it illegal for you to vote by mail. So get it done. Get ahead of the adversary. Get ahead of the accuser. When you pray, please remember to pray for yourself. There is nothing shameful about praying for yourself. If you don't tell God, if you don't make your wishes known to God, not that God doesn't already know it, but that's not the point. The point is, have a conversation with your divine entity, with your higher power, with your God, by whatever name. My God's name is Jesus Christ. My God's name is wisdom. My God's name is Father, Mother, God. Whatever you call your God, have conversation with that person, because that God is a person. If it's a thing, you're talking to something that can't help you out. All right. Pray for yourself. Pray for your family. Pray for Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ. Pray for Space for Grace Without Walls, United Church of Christ, Lansing Ministry. We desire to have you back next week. We are having a family reunion with all of our first quarter guests. August the 20th, Connecting Soul to Soul, a family reunion. And on August the 27th, it is our last broadcast until October. We're going to take a break, a summer break in September. So come back, connecting soul to soul, remembering our loved ones. If someone in your family, if someone in your congregation, if someone in your community has been called to a higher place in the realm of spirit and have let go of their earth suit, send me an email so that we can be certain to call their name when we are remembering our loved ones. We want to be your friend. and we want you to be our friends. So if you ask me how long I'll be your friend, my answer will be, I don't know, because I really don't know which one is longer, forever or always. And so until then, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Now,
Amen.
Philippians, the 4th chapter and the 8th verse, gives us this advice because Proverbs gives us heads up as a person thinks, and not so much, well, yes, up here and in your heart, because these are the things that will come true in your life. As you think, so shall you be. God bless you. I love you, and good night.
Thank you.